Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another segment of Asaph Cafe. I am your host, Asaph Adonai, and on my left, affectionately, our aging rocker, Emmett. And let me check our time. It's 1:37, so, about 2:30, 2:35. We can do it that long.
Mm-hmm.
So, we have Emmett here, and you still feeling better?
Yeah, I am. I've been sneezing a bit and still have the allergy, so don't pardon me if I cough, but at least it's not the terrible allergy attacks, because when I get them, it's bad. I mean, when I get them, especially when I get them at home, so I cough so much, I'm blowing my nose, and I can't even get an allergy pill down me, and there have been times I've been, listening to easy listening or whatever, and then I'm kind of coughing fit, and it just, finally I get an allergy pill or something and some other things. It's just one thing that kind of has been helping. Joel recommended this to me. Thanks, Joel. Raw honey, local raw honey.
Yeah.
The localized raw honey that is raw. Put it in some coffee or tea, and it's kind of like it immunizes you to the pollens that are around.
I'll have to borrow that idea, because what I do is I drink a lot of hot tea and hot liquids, especially tea, like that Arizona green tea with the honey and stuff like that.
Because it just kind of immunizes you from the pollens that the bees are producing, because the bees have, so it's kind of like giving it's not a cure, but it helps a little bit,
Yeah, well, you can start us off in it, and then we'll get going.
Heavenly Father, bless our time together, my health and everything, in Jesus' name.
So anyway, the things we talked about on the last show was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was.
And so now we got some fun things to talk about on this edition of Asaph Cafe.
Yeah. My guy, isn't that it?
Yeah.
A 50 song. No one can take me away from the dryer. I spin in the dryer and I spin in the washing machine. It's a very fascinating thing. No one can make me unfaithful to the washing machine. I can't even think of more lyrics. Isn't that fascinating? Wasn't that a 50s song?
Yeah, I think it was. Or 60s.
60s, something, 50s.
Martha and the Vandellas.
Yeah. I remember in Lewiston, Idaho, when I was trying to move back there, there was an excellent buffet. I loved Granny's Buffet, but they always played old 50s music. That was the only downer about the whole thing, but they played this.
I see.
Great buffet, though, if you like buffets. I do. I love buffets. That was one heck of a buffet, I also loved Country Harvest Buffet. That was here in town many years ago. I don't know if you had moved here. It was in the 90s.
No, but I've heard of it.
It was such a good restaurant.
I was once considered playing the piano for them.
Wow. Yeah, you could get all this food, just keep eating and eating. It was just delicious. Unfortunately, they raised their prices and lowered their quality. That's the only sad thing. But I still like them because I love buffets. I just love all-you-can-eat buffets.
Yeah, they were considering having me play the piano for them once in Billings, the country buffet that they had there.
Oh.
And there was the people in charge of that they were considering that, but the door never seemed to quite open.
Yeah.
So maybe it wasn't meant. But yeah, they do have some good food there.
Really, delicious.
Really good food.
Especially when they first opened, I couldn't believe it. And all you could eat for $5.49. All the coffee you could drink, all the milk, keep loading up your plate, man. On and on and on. Oh man, I was always so stuffed. I couldn't eat one more bite. Sometimes I would throw up afterwards.
I used to like I think it was meatloaf they had.
Oh, their meatloaf was incredible.
And stuff like that. So.
Man, their meatloaf was so good. Oh.
And then the other goodies that they had too. I'm trying to think of another song I haven't done in a while that they could do.
They even had a good salad bar. They had they'd get everything, a lot of milk and everything for just $5.49. Their lunch menu. Their dinner was a little more expensive, but their lunch, Yeah.
See if you know the song.
Nope.
by Diana Ross. Keep Me Hanging On.
Don't know it. Never really listened to much Diana Ross. Very interesting.
Yeah. Keep Me Hanging On. Diana Ross. You don't hear about her much anymore, but she was so popular in the 60s in her time.
Yeah, I've heard that. Yeah.
Oh, just Diana Ross and the Supremes and just the
Yeah.
music
Oh,
that
yeah,
they
yeah.
left. Oh my
Yeah.
goodness, just some beautiful music.
Uh-huh.
And Diana Ross, she's had quite the career. I don't know if she's singing much anymore
Yeah.
these days, but she left the world some great music ever since the 60s.
Yeah, I've heard of Diana Ross. I don't have any of her
the
albums.
African-American singer, with the Motown.
Oh, yeah.
Like songs like
Yep. Recognize that song.
I'll do some of it for you.
Yeah. Isn't like Can't Help Myself
Yeah.
something or another? Yeah.
And so on.
Yep.
And some of her other songs that she did with that group, the Supremes.
Yeah.
That was just such a great
Wow.
female group.
That's
Diana Ross and
interesting,
the Supremes.
yeah.
They did a lot of songs. I probably wouldn't be able to
Oh,
think
yeah.
of them off the top of my head.
Mhm.
But yeah, she did some great songs.
Mhm.
And she used to have a hairdo called the Beehive, if I remember that right. It's like the Marge Simpson look, when the African American women
Oh, yeah,
used to
yeah.
wear their hair
Yeah.
up like this. My mother used to wear her hair like that too. My birth mom I'm talking about. And but I guess everybody wanted to be like Diana Ross.
Interesting.
So, but yeah, what a singer that lady was.
Mhm.
Well, I'm sure she still is singing somewhere. But
Yeah, was she still popular in the 70s or not? I can't remember. Oh, yeah.
60s, 70s, 80s.
Even the 80s? Oh,
Oh
amazing.
yeah, gosh, yes, absolutely. She started changing her style a little bit, I think, in the 80s. To be more current at the time. But that voice was still there, though.
Mhm.
And then I imagine the Supremes, they were still doing their thing with Diana Ross, and just she did a lot of movies too. It's just cool, just fun.
Interesting.
Listen to that group.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have some video footage of a very young Diana Ross at home on the Ed Sullivan Show with Supremes.
Interesting.
I'm trying to think of hold on. They had a song that went something like this. Something like that.
Yeah. Washing machine. The washing machine.
Something like that. Something like that. Something like that.
That's very interesting.
And so on. But what beautiful music that she left.
Yeah.
And what a voice that lady had.
Yeah.
Too. Diana Ross and the Supremes. She's probably, I would say it's a safe assumption she was probably the #1 African American female singer of the 60s, perhaps even the 70s too. And I know there are other great singers, Patti LaBelle. I'm talking about African American singers now. Patti LaBelle, there was Natalie Cole, she did the Unforgettable
Yes.
remake with her father. Of course, her father was deceased, and what they did was they put the footage together, and it made it look like she was singing with her father. It was just so cool. Unforgettable.
Yeah.
Natalie Cole, and oh goodness, just a whole lot of other African American female singers in the past. But I think it's a safe assumption that Diana Ross was probably number one.
And that song you were singing, it reminds me. What's that song that went dun 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 dun, or is that something else?
I don't know.
I don't remember the lyrics, you know.
Yeah, but my point is, yeah, there's some beautiful music that's left behind.
Oh yeah.
Left behind.
Mhm.
Diana Ross, Tina Turner too, you know.
Oh yeah.
Let's have fun with Tina Turner. Let's see if I can remember how to do that. Hold it. What's love got to do with
Oh
it?
yes, what's love got to do with
Yeah, I'll
it?
get into that.
I've heard that on Smooth Jazz. Yes, I've heard that. The Smooth Jazz channel on 943. Yeah, that's on Charter Cable.
Yeah, I'm
that I
trying to
have.
figure that out now. Let me try it again.
What's love got? I never really listened to it, but you know.
Something like that. I'm just picking it out at random right now. What's love got to do with it?
Yeah.
But my point is that all these African American singers of the past, the female ones, and the male ones were good too. You know, Smokey Robinson and the Miracles. You probably won't know this is before your time. And of course the Jackson Five. These are all the Motown groups. you
Yes,
know.
yes.
And there was Stevie Wonder, very young Stevie Wonder, and the Four Tops, Temptations. You probably won't know them. This is way before your time.
Yeah, I've heard of them, but I've never listened to their music. Yeah.
Well, the Temptations had a song called "My Girl." It went something like this.
I've heard My Girl. I've heard that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the kind of music they would have played over at Granny's Buffet in Lewiston,
Yeah.
My Girl, yeah, that kind of 50s type of stuff, and you know, the Temptations and the Four Tops, and yeah. Yeah. They had really good food at Granny's Buffet. Of course, I think it closed. I think there's another buffet. A friend of mine said there's another
Something like
buffet,
that.
but I really miss Granny's Buffet. That was one heck of a good buffet.
Yeah.
Man, that was good. That was delicious food.
So, but yeah, so much for the Motown sound, but that just gives you an idea.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, fascinating.
But changing subject, I wanted to get on the subject of those cartoons that they show every year. You know.
Yeah, for Christmas. Yeah.
I know Christmas isn't here yet and Thanksgiving hasn't come, but when I was a little boy, they had all those cartoons.
I remember that.
You know, they had Frosty the Snowman.
Oh yeah, Frosty the Snowman.
Yeah, let me play that here.
Yeah, they did. And they also had a lot of really cool cartoons about Santa Claus, how either he couldn't make Christmas or was threatened by evil forces that were trying to take away Christmas.
Yeah, there were a
Battle
lot
in
of
Santa's
those.
workshop. And
Yeah, there were a lot
I
of those.
loved
There was
those.
well, there was the original, what is it, Rudolph the Red-Nosed
Rudolph the
Reindeer, Frosty
Ring.
the
Yes,
Snowman,
yes.
And the Christmas one, I think it was Rudolph, wasn't it?
Yeah.
The Red-Nosed Reindeer with Santa Claus?
Yes, and also that the night that it was the Christmas that didn't happen, Santa was sick, so Santa had to cancel Christmas, and a little girl was singing "It'll Be a Blue Christmas" without, and that was just classic. It just,
You know the song?
Nope.
Start from the beginning, let me get in. Okay, go ahead. I'll do it again.
Was that good old Saint Nick?
Close. Nat King Cole did it. That's
Huh.
You still don't know it.
Nope.
In the conclusion. That's called Mrs. Santa Claus.
Oh, interesting.
I thought you would have gotten it with this part here. Mrs. Santa Claus.
No, I hadn't.
I'll do it again. Mrs. Santa Claus.
Yeah.
Nat King Cole.
Mm-hmm.
Mrs. Santa Claus. That part right
Interesting, yeah.
there. Yeah. Mrs. Santa Claus, that part.
There was even in the 80s, do you remember the glowworms? It was a popular toy. Glowworms.
Yes, I
You
do.
know,
I remember
there was
that.
a
I
one
remember that.
called The Glowworms Save Christmas, where they have to save Santa Claus. It was the day after Thanksgiving, and I was friends with the family had been babysitting, but he
I don't
wanted.
seem to recall that one. But...
It was really cool, and the way it, I don't know if I should give away the ending.
Oh, you can. This is what, 30
Yeah,
years
yeah,
old.
and besides, they hardly show it. I can't really remember all of it, but the glowworms were singing "We glow, and they were holding hands, and they melted the cage that Santa Claus was in, or something, or
Oh,
ice cage, or
okay.
something, or some ridiculous
Here's
thing.
a song called Glowworm. It went something like this.
Yeah, it was for people who don't know the glowworms. Yeah, that Lawrence Welk has played that. They were a popular toy.
recognize them?
Yeah, I do. They were a popular toy in the 80s for kids. It was like a cuddle type of thing, kind of stuffed animal, but they were
Something
glowing.
like, yeah.
And they would glow. They would literally glow. The tops of their heads would glow, you know?
Yeah. Little glowworm.
Yeah, a little glowworm glow, yeah. They even had Easter cartoons, if I remember, during Easter
did,
when they would save
They did.
the Peter Rabbit. They would save the Easter Bunny and save Easter, you know?
Yeah, I know. And those are fun.
They are.
I'm not going to get into that so-called religious aspect where they pounce on that.
Yeah.
I mean, those are just fun.
They are.
I mean, everybody knows the true meaning of Easter.
Yes.
Jesus'
Yeah.
resurrection
Yeah.
from the dead. But I don't see any harm in
Nor do I at all.
Easter bunnies and
Nor
things
do
like
I,
that.
yeah.
As long as the perspective when you
Exactly.
teach the children.
Exactly.
But some people just pounce on that and
I know.
You can't have Easter bunny and Easter egg hunts. I'm like, come on.
Please.
Yeah. But
And besides, the Easter, did you know the origin of the Easter egg hunt?
no, I don't.
Well, this is fascinating. I learned this in the Catholic Church because I'm a Catholic. Thing is, it used to be that in the Middle Ages, the fast for Lent was so severe, it was one meal a day, and that was toward evening, and it was only bread, water, salt, and vegetables. That's all you had until Easter.
Wow.
So you couldn't have milk, meat, eggs, dairy, cheese, anything. So they would hide the Easter eggs because they were so happy that Easter is something we can have the eggs, so that we would hide the eggs that had been collected, and the children would hide them, and we could eat eggs again, because that's a severe fast. That's how the Easter egg hunt was traditional, because it was, a joyful celebration that Lent is over. But that was a severe fast. I wouldn't have been able to do that kind of a fast,
Yeah. Well, some people can't for health reasons.
Yeah, and I would just lose so much weight. I'd be so, I'd end up dead. But
I would get sick if I were to. Talking about fasting, I know that it's traditionally fast. You think of going without food, but I think there's other forms of fasting
There is.
that you can do.
Yes, there is.
You don't have to necessarily fast
Yes.
food. You can fast like an activity. Like let's say you drink coffee 3 times a day,
Exactly.
and you just drink it down to 1 or a half a cup.
Yeah, that's an excellent fast. That's an
Or
excellent
like I
penance.
heard Dr. Charles Stanley talking about a form of fasting. Like let's say you sleep at a certain time, maybe wake
Yes.
up earlier, deprive yourself of some sleep.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Pray, and things like that. Because I don't know about most people, but me, if I don't eat, I'll get sick.
Same here.
I'm
Yeah,
not
same
saying
here.
I have to
Yeah.
wolf down a steak. No.
Right.
I don't eat steak anyway.
Yeah.
But I will. I'll get really sick. I'll start feeling the tonsil area and everything if I don't eat.
Mm-hmm.
And so the point I'm going with that is when you're going to fast, some people cannot fast because of health reasons.
Exactly.
So there's other forms of fasting that you can do that
Yeah.
I think would work.
Yeah, I mean, I fast and I try to do what I can during Lent, but you know, back in the old days where it was only one meal a day during Lent and a small collation all 40 days, I'd have had to ask for dispensation. I mean, I'm pretty much sticks. I have a metabolism that won't quit. I don't eat 3 meals a day, but if I was strictly down to 1 for 6 weeks and only a break on Sunday and just 1 meal, I mean, I would end up in a lot of trouble. I can fast a little bit, you know, what I can do, and that's what I can do, but you know, that's absolutely true. But that's how Easter eggs, you know, happened.
Yeah. But anyway, getting back to Easter eggs, you know, there's like those Charlie Brown cartoons, had the Easter cartoon and the Thanksgiving and all the rest, but
Yeah.
those are just fun if
They
you just
are,
do it in perspective.
exactly.
You know? If I had children, which I don't, but if I had children, I wouldn't necessarily pounce on
Nor would I at all.
holidays and insist they can't do this.
Never, yeah, that just ruined that. Part of the fun of a child for Christmas is to watch those old cartoons.
Yeah, I know, and that's what I did. I looked at
Rudolph the Red-Nosed
and all those. They were all fun. Like, you know, when I was like grade school, I used to look forward to those cartoons every year.
Yes,
they used
absolutely.
To show them every year.
Yeah.
And so when you're a kid growing up, it's fun.
You know, Santa Claus is coming to town. It's all fun, you know.
It's all fun, yeah. And of course, we know the true meaning
Of Christmas, absolutely,
Christmas,
absolutely.
Easter, and so on.
Yeah.
We know.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, holidays are fun throughout the year, like 4th of July.
Oh yeah.
That's fun.
Even Groundhog's Day can be fun, you know.
Yeah. Oh, speaking of Groundhog Day, you just gave me an idea. I've got Winnie the Pooh
Yeah.
in my collection of movies.
Uh-huh.
And so, let me think. I want to get this right. You're gonna find this amusing.
Mm-hmm.
The rabbit that Tigger calls Long Ears.
Mm-hmm.
He's like a clean freak, right? So he's like cleaning his little home, little hole in the ground, right? And he gets a spick and span, right? As soon as Rabbit gets his house clean, Tigger comes walking in. He doesn't even knock on the door. He just walks in and traps mud all over. Hey, Long Ears, how are you? Because Tigger always calls Rabbit Long Ears. And Winnie the Pooh and all the rest of the characters come over because it was almost Groundhog Day. You know? They wanted to find out when winter was coming. And the tradition says when you put the groundhog in the ground, if you pull him up or you take him out of the ground, if he doesn't see his shadow, he got 6 more weeks, right?
Yeah.
And so what happened was when Tigger just went in there unannounced, the wind blew the calendar. It blew a lot of the pages off the calendar, so it threw everybody off. So they didn't realize that winter was going to be hitting the next day. Because the wind blew the calendar pages, they thought spring was coming.
Mm-hmm.
And then they go out looking for a groundhog, right? And there's this beaver up there building some house. You know how beavers do.
Mm-hmm.
And so the animals say, "Hey, we need a groundhog. You look like a groundhog. We want you to tell us when spring is coming, right?" And the beaver gets ticked off. "I'm not a groundhog. I'm a beaver." So he walks out, right? He's all mad. So they couldn't find a groundhog, right? So they pick up Piglet, and they put these little teeth on him like a beaver, right?
Hilarious.
A little Piglet. And then they put him in the ground. And so then when they pull Piglet out, if he can't see his shadow, that means he gets 6 more weeks, right?
Yeah.
And what happened was when they put Tigger into the ground, the teeth that he had covered his eyes, so he couldn't see. So when they pulled little old Piglet out, he couldn't see. So he's like, "Hey, I can't see, so that means, no shadow."
Yeah, exactly.
But they didn't realize that that the wind had blown Rabbit's calendar and yanked off a few months. So they sit up there saying, "Oh, spring is coming," right? And then they said, "Well, what happened to winter?" Because winter hadn't happened yet, because it was really almost winter when the incident happened where the wind blew the calendar. So Piglet says he can't see, so he says, "Spring's coming," and he's all happy because he did a fun thing. Piglet's heart's in the right place, right?
Yeah.
But he was dead wrong. And the very next day, those animals didn't prepare themselves, right? And winter came the next day, and the snow came. They were freezing their buds off and everything. And so they're all kind of like a little disappointed in Piglet. But my point is, that's just such a fun cartoon.
Yeah.
Winnie the Pooh and all those other characters.
Yeah.
But they get it fixed, you know. They get it fixed where they realize it's winter or not fall. It's just a fun cartoon.
Yeah. There was even a beautiful cartoon. You know, I love Sprout TV. Well, they've taken off a lot of my favorite shows from toddler TV, but I love Caillou. You've probably never seen Caillou. I may have talked about it on the show.
You might have talked about it. I don't remember.
It's an educational cartoon, but it's sweet. It's the most innocent cartoon. It's, I think it was made in France, or was it made in Canada? About a 4-year-old. He's bald. His name is Caillou, and he enjoys exploring the world around him. So he goes to his play school and has adventures with mommy and daddy, and has his friends over like Leo and Clementine, and he really goes to the library, goes to the car wash, a whole bunch of really fun stuff. Every year they have a Caillou holiday movie. And they explain what Christmas is, what various other holiday traditions around the world are, what Christmas means, and he's looking forward to Christmas, and it's kind of a musical, and he goes through a whole bunch of Christmas stuff, and it's a beautiful, beautiful movie, and at last Christmas Day comes, and they're all happy with the family. It's just a delightful movie. It's sweet. I just love that movie.
Cool. I'm playing Chopin while you're talking. It's a perfect song.
Yeah.
This is called Prelude in E minor by Chopin. Perfect song while you were talking about those cartoons.
Yeah.
And here's the conclusion. Isn't it beautiful, this song?
Yes.
That's such a beautiful song.
Yeah, Caillou even wrote a letter to Santa.
Really?
Yeah, but what he wanted, you know. He met Santa at the mall. It was really cool, and just.
So that's called the Prelude in E minor.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, one of the songs, if you mind, would you like to? I'd like to sing one of the songs on the Caillou holiday movie.
Sure, go ahead. I don't know, but go ahead.
Yeah, well, anyway, it was kind of a thing where there was a musical. He was with his mommy. He called him mommy. And writing the letter to Santa, and his mother said, "That's a long list, isn't it? But anything else?" "Well, yeah, a baseball, a soccer ball, and a whole bunch of other things. Isn't that too much?" And then his mother said, "Dun dun," and the piano was playing or something. "Dun dun dun dun. All that Caillou just to please you. Don't you think it is too much? No, no, mommy, there are more trees. Santa should bring me in a bus, and all these other toys he'd bring." A dinosaur, a something, a deck of cards, a basket for my bike, lots of toys is what I like. You like getting lots of toys. What about caring? What about sharing? His mother saying, well, Christmas is for everyone.
Oh, cool.
And something, no, no, mommy, there, are you just my Mimi boy? No, no, mommy, I don't know. Something about something, gifts and toys. Now I'm not a Mimi boy. But what I really want is a space station. So, he wanted a space station, especially a toy space station.
Okay.
I don't want to give the ending away, but you know, he told Santa, "I want a space station," and he told the people at the Senior Citizen Center because his grandma would take me there. "I'm hoping Santa gives me a space station." And guess what? He got a space station for Christmas. Santa brought it this year. His daddy said, "Oh, it's a space station," and they're all happy at Christmas. It was a delightful day. It was just a delightful movie, and good music too.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll have my Christmas repertoire all prepared as it gets closer to the holiday.
Yeah.
You see, once the holiday passes, I don't practice them anymore. When it gets around November, I start getting re-familiar with them. So that I'll be prepared. But speaking of Christmas, did you see the Brady Bunch episode when, you know, Cindy, the youngest girl, the girl with curls, the youngest girl, her mother was supposed to sing at church that Sunday morning, and she got laryngitis.
Never saw the Brady Bunch.
This is a beautiful episode. The little girl, her mother gets laryngitis, and she just absolutely can't talk, so there's no way she could sing for church for Christmas, right? So Mike Brady, father, takes Cindy to go see Santa Claus, and she sits on Santa's lap. She says, because all the other children were asking for toys and things, right? So by the time Cindy gets there, Santa says, "What's your name, little girl? You're a cute little girl." She says, "I'm Cindy."
Yeah.
"And what would you like, Cindy?" And Cindy says, "Oh, I don't want anything for Christmas. My mommy can't talk and she's supposed to sing at church and I want her to have her voice so she can sing at church." And of course Santa Claus says, he's like moved that this little girl didn't ask for toys.
Yeah.
So Santa says, "Well, your mother will have her voice for Christmas." That didn't sit well with her father because Santa doesn't have that kind of authority, as we know.
Yeah.
So Mike Brady walks up to Santa Claus privately and says, "You can't tell my little girl that her mother's gonna get her voice back for Christmas. You don't have that kind of authority." And Santa apologizes and says, "Well, I was just so moved by your little girl because she was not selfish. She wasn't asking for herself. She was asking for her mother." So Mike Brady takes the little girl and they leave Santa, right? And he doesn't know how to tell his little girl that she shouldn't put her faith in what Santa said because he doesn't have that kind of. Only God has that kind of. That's what they were hinting in that episode. Only God can determine that, right? But Cindy believes anyway that Santa Claus is going to give her mommy's voice back. And of course, when Christmas morning came, because she couldn't talk even Christmas Eve, mommy couldn't talk or sing. They thought they were going to have to cancel the concert, and Mike Brady didn't know what to do. Christmas morning comes, all of a sudden you hear this voice singing. And Cindy, like, "I believed all along, and it's worked. Mommy can sing." Well, there was a little overtone in it.
Yeah.
The little girl's perspective was Santa Claus gave her her gift. But as an adult watching it, you know that it was really God that gave Carol Brady her voice back. That's what I think
exactly.
that episode was implying.
It's wonderful.
But that was a pretty cool episode, though. So she was singing, I forget the Christmas song that she was singing on the episode. I think it was, "Oh Come All Ye Faithful."
Yeah.
And so they got to go to church. But, you know, when you were talking about Santa just now, that just made me think of that story. I just wanted to share it.
Yeah.
And I wasn't necessarily a big fan of the Brady Bunch, but there were some episodes that I did appreciate, like this Christmas one. They show it every year. And Cindy's like really young. She like barely could talk, you know. Just a really young little girl who believes in Santa Claus. Santa says her mother will get her voice back. And it affirms the little girl's belief in, I guess, Santa Claus. But like I said, when you're really watching it, you know it's really relating to God. God is the only one that had the ability to give Carol Brady her voice back. And of course, she gets her voice back. And she sings. And it was just a beautiful episode.
Yeah. I've had laryngitis before. I've had it twice. Yeah, I've had laryngitis.
And we know it's a television show.
Yeah.
So she was sick all the way up till just Christmas morning. She gets up and starts singing in the household.
Yeah.
So I just want to share that fun episode.
That's wonderful, yeah.
Yeah, I looked up the actress that plays Cindy Brady. She's like in 50s now. Like that. Probably has children of her own now.
Oh, yeah.
I remember she was just a little girl.
Yeah.
She must have been about maybe 8 in real life if she was even that old. She might have even been younger. I don't know. But even though I wasn't necessarily a big fan of the Brady Bunch, it was a fun show to watch.
Oh, I'm sure it was, yeah.
It really was. There was some clean
Oh, yeah.
stories in there. And of course, I don't think a lot of people can relate to the Brady Bunch these days.
Yeah.
Because if you think of the synopsis of that show, Mike Brady has 3 boys, he's a widower, and Carol Brady has 3 girls, and so Mike and Carol start dating and they get the kids together. And they had like early episodes where the kids were always fighting and stuff, which is normal.
Oh, yeah.
But they kind of blend in. But that's not always the case, though, in real life with blended families.
Yeah.
Blended families are very, very difficult to make work. Not like the Brady Bunch where it's all magic and a half hour later everybody's loving one another. Something I wrote in my book, I think you read that, about blended families. And I think this is true. If that ex-husband is cool with his ex-wife going on to the next relationship, that's fine. But if he's going to be difficult, it's like you've got ex-children and an ex-husband-in-law in the mix of a new blended family. And that ex-husband can make that new blended family miserable if he's not in support.
Yeah.
That's real life. That's not the Brady
Oh,
Bunch.
absolutely.
It's real life. So, but the Brady Bunch was a fun show, you know.
Yeah.
I wasn't necessarily the biggest fan of
Yeah, I never watched it. I might have seen a couple episodes, but I never really watched it.
It was okay. It was,
Yeah, it's not everyone's cup of tea, yeah.
no, probably not, but it does rank up there as one of the best family shows of the past.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And I'll give it that. And I admit, like most boys, I used to watch the Brady Bunch because of Marcia Brady.
Mhm.
She was the cute girl on there,
Mhm.
the oldest girl. Just like, what is that show? The Mickey Mouse Club.
Oh, yeah.
Come on. You and I both know everybody watched Mickey Mouse because of Annette Funicello.
Yeah, yeah.
America's sweetheart.
Mm.
She's just such a delight. She was such a delight, that little girl. And then, of course, when she grew up, she was a delight, too, with those
Yeah.
movies that she made with Frankie Avalon, the beach movies and stuff. Just it was a simpler time.
It was, yeah.
But yeah, Annette Funicello was probably the backbone of the Mickey Mouse Club, the original Mickey Mouse Club. And then when they had the modern version, they had the newer stars like Britney Spears at the time when she was a kid. She was one of the Mouseketeers. Justin Timberlake, I think, was one. And all these people went on to soar in the music industry and stuff like that. But the original Mickey Mouse Club, Annette Funicello.
Mm.
So, just America's sweetheart.
Mm-hmm.
If I remember, I think I did a story on Annette Funicello about a year ago.
Oh, interesting.
I'd have to look it up in the archives of my news stories. I've done hundreds of stories, so let's watch our time here. Yeah, we're about 15 minutes left. See how fast it goes?
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, I watched Mickey Mouse because of Annette Funicello. Any guy that says they didn't watch Mickey Mouse because of her, they're just not telling the truth.
Yeah, yeah.
And I don't mean anything inappropriate.
Right,
I'll put it
right.
that way. It was just fun watching Annette Funicello at
Yeah.
that time. She was just such a delight.
Yeah.
She's gone now, obviously, but what a life that she must have had. You know, she was favored by Walt Disney.
Mm-hmm.
And, yeah, they had other children there in the original Mickey Mouse Club, but the attention was put on Annette Funicello. And I think they made a good choice when they chose her to be the featured person to make that work, and it worked. So, when I was a little boy, I'd come home from school, I always wanted to watch the Mickey Mouse Club, and look at Annette Funicello, she had her little curly hair, it was just fun, so, just fun. I don't know why I got on that subject, but,
Yeah.
oh well. But they don't make shows like that anymore.
No, they don't, sadly, yeah.
And speaking of Britney Spears, now I don't know anything about her, I don't know much about her music,
Yeah.
but I did see a video of her when she was a young girl, probably about 15, 16 years of age, as I wrote in my autobiography, and I can see why she went on to make it. It was good. It was really good. I think she's a mom now, has her own children. You know, all that whole generation probably all have their own kids by now, I would imagine, but I can see why she made it.
Mm-hmm.
And the video footage I saw of Britney Spears, I liked it. I mean, that's not my style of music.
Exactly.
But what I'm saying is, for that style of music and what she was singing, I thought it was quite good. So, but they always get these young, upcoming singers.
Oh, yeah.
Generation after generation and so on. Miley Cyrus and all the rest of them. I mean, I may not be a Miley fan per se, but the young lady can sing. I'm no singer, but you know, like when you look at those early, when they're first bursting on the scene, it's pretty good for that kind of music. You know? And of course, Miley had her own show, Hannah Montana.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Here's, you know, there's a song called Hannah Montana, and it goes like this.
Didn't know that, yeah.
Yeah, this is called Hannah Montana. You never heard this song?
No. I never watched Hannah Montana.
This wasn't from the show.
Oh, okay.
That's called Hannah Montana's name of that
Interesting.
song. It's from the, I think the John Shaw piano series. They have a very simplified version. I kind of fancied it up a little bit, but there is a song called Hannah Montana. And so when I did that story on Miley Cyrus about a year ago, I introduced that song at the beginning of Wake Up Missoula. and explain to Scott and Noel that there is a song called Hannah Montana. That's the name of it. When you play it plain, it sounds like this. I'm gonna do it plain. See if I can remember how to do it. Something like that. So I just fancied it up a little bit. Let me do it again. So I just fancied up a little bit, you know. Isn't that pretty?
Yeah.
Hannah Montana is the name of that song. And speaking of Hannah Montana, I have a book. It's like a little, you know, full back little book.
Yes.
Of Hannah Montana that I kept as a collector's item. All it is just, you know, they had that television show, and so this book just has pictures and scenes from that television show, which I thought would be fun to keep as a collector's item. And I've looked at some episodes of Hannah Montana. It's pretty funny, actually.
Really, huh?
You know the synopsis of that show? Miley Cyrus plays Hannah Montana,
Yes,
a
indeed.
rock star. She's like
Indeed.
this child rock star.
Yep.
She goes to school in the daytime, she plays one character, and nobody in the school knows that she's really the rock star Hannah Montana, except for her best friend.
Huh.
So she's playing a dual role. She plays one role when she's in school, and then when she's not in school, and she's at home, and she does her concerts, then she's Hannah Montana.
Interesting.
And so it's kind of funny, actually. They get some funny situations in there. And nobody knows that Hannah at school is really Hannah Montana except for her best friend, and they keep it secret.
Interesting.
So they get into all these situations, and it's just a cute little fun show. But you know, like anything else, Miley Cyrus isn't gonna be that cute little girl forever. I'm not saying she's not cute now, but you know what I'm saying. When you have a child star, those child stars are going to grow up eventually.
Yep.
And so, I think they got enough episodes of Hannah Montana to, you know, for children to watch. And you know, people get their nose all bent out of shape because she grew up and changed her image. You know, so what?
Yeah, yeah.
That's normal.
Yeah, yeah.
And I admit, some of the things that maybe Miley Cyrus might have done in videos might be a little difficult to watch.
Oh, yeah.
She's just a young woman that grew up. I have a piano version of her song Wrecking Ball. Let me play it for you.
Oh, yeah.
Well, this version, you might like it here. It starts out something like this. I'm sorry, let me start over. Let me play for you. And then it starts like this. And here's the melody. Isn't that pretty?
Yeah.
And here's the middle part. Isn't that pretty? And here's the verse. I'm just a wrecking ball.
Yeah, yeah.
Isn't that pretty?
Yep.
That's my version I created.
Yep.
And I decided to put that song together for the younger crowd when I play at the mall. Like,
Oh, cool,
that gives you
yeah.
an idea. That's Miley Cyrus Wrecking Ball. That is my personal piano
Cool.
version of that. And you know, people pounced on this young woman because of the video. And I admit the video is a little raunchy and raw. But when you look at the context of that song, I think it's a beautiful song. It's just a love song of this girl that was a wrecking ball because of something about she loved this guy, but I guess he didn't love her or something like that. And I don't think that's wrong in and of itself. I think if they had presented that song in a different way, there would have been so much controversy.
Yeah.
And so what I did, I watched the video because I wanted to learn the song, and then after I saw it the first time just to get the gist of it, then I turned my head and I took out a piece of paper and I just listened to the music without watching the image, and that's how I was able to figure it out.
Yeah.
But I had to watch it the first time so that I would know in its proper context. And I wasn't gonna get all like into the political whatever.
Yeah.
Should you watch this video or not? That I just wasn't gonna get into that. It's just a song, and I did pay attention to the lyrics, and I think they were beautiful lyrics. So that's why I decided to put that song in my repertoire. And I think it's gonna be interesting when I introduce that at the mall this year. There's gonna be some young person gonna notice that, and I've already tested it a few times. You know, for 3 weeks I've been playing at the Patty Pig Market already, and I played that Wrecking Ball. And I've had people walk up to me that actually recognize it.
Whoa.
And they said, "Oh, you got a piano version of Miley Cyrus Wrecking Ball. Cool." So I'm not here to judge this young woman.
Yeah.
And I think people shouldn't. But I'm not going to tell people, watch the video. That's an individual conviction.
Yeah.
But I have to warn you, it's pretty raw. It's not so much sexual as far as a sex act. It's just she's kind of loosely dressed.
Yeah.
But other than that, I think it's a beautiful song. And I'm not going to judge her because, you know, she's only, what, about 23? You don't know what that girl's going to do 10 or 15 years from now. With that outrageous fortune that she's been blessed with. Like Mel Gibson, you know?
Oh, yeah.
You know, Mel Gibson had all those millions as a young man. What does he make? The Passion of the Christ.
Yeah.
No telling what Miley Cyrus will do 15 years from now. She might end up funding a cure for the common cold. Who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows?
That'd be great. You know, I've heard Mel Gibson, I heard just briefly on the news, is considering making a sequel, The Resurrection of the Christ. It's just something he's considering.
Well, if he does, I'm sure he'll do a good... I didn't hear about that, but I'm sure he'll do a good job.
Yeah, just a brief blurb. Yeah, that'd be great to see.
You know, speaking of Mel Gibson, I had... you know, when he was a young man and did all those... those detective movies, which I didn't really care for.
Yeah.
And he must have been like in his mid-20s, I said. He had like millions in. Well, he had admitted in an interview that he had the passion of the Christ in him, but he was tormented on the inside whether he should really make that movie or not. And he carried that burden for years. And finally, when he decided to act on it and put that together, the rest is history.
Yes.
It goes back to For Such a Time as This.
It does. Yeah, I have that movie on DVD. And
But you know, The Passion of the Christ, that is the most graphic,
it is,
best depicted Jesus movie in history as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
And Mel Gibson said he was so moved by that, like he just had to put that together.
Yeah.
And so when he decided finally years later from the time he did those movies to put that Passion of Christ together, he got so much opposition.
Oh, he did.
Oh,
I
my
remember
goodness,
that.
he got
I
so
remember
much
that.
opposition. It got to the point where the movie studios weren't going to touch that project.
Yes.
But he was rich enough, so he took his own fortune and created the film.
Oh, yeah.
And the rest is history. You know, and God bless him for doing that.
Yeah, that was a
Whatever a
fantastic...
person thinks about Mel Gibson, he left the world what was meant for him to do.
Exactly, it was, yeah.
The Passion of the Christ. And when I first saw that movie, I squirmed. It took everything in me to keep from crying too.
Yeah.
It was just so riveting.
Yeah, I was just on my knees. Basically, it's 2 hours of prayer. You're on your knees praying.
Yeah.
There's very powerful prayer just to pray with the prayer to the Lord. You know, whatever my intentions, these are mine, to Lord. But you know, this reminds me a lot. These are my intentions, Lord. I adore the and God will reward that.
The suffering that Christ went through in that picture, I think that's exactly what he
Yes.
went through for real.
It is.
And probably
It is
even worse.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
Much
yes.
But Yeah, a lot of people were up in arms about that movie, but the Christian community was certainly wasn't. They were telling it like it is. Hey, this is, you read Isaiah 53. This is exactly what we think Jesus went through.
Exactly.
Paying the penalty for our sins.
Yes.
Dying on
exactly.
that cross. Taking the wrath of God on our behalf.
Yes.
Because if you think about it, if Christ hadn't went through that, and the cross and the scourging and what have you, we'd have to go through that.
Yeah.
Think about it.
Exactly.
For our sin.
Yeah.
You don't want to stand before a holy God and have to explain.
Yeah, you do not.
No, and then have him thrust his wrath on you.
No.
Not because he's mean, but he's a God of justice.
He is.
God is a God of love. I'm watching that time. Yeah, he's a God of love and he loves folks and what have you, blesses people, but he's also a God of wrath, God of anger, as far as sin is concerned.
Oh, absolutely. That's just
and
the
that
truth.
penalty has to be paid. So he sent his son to the earth to pay that, which you and I talked about.
Yeah.
Pay that death penalty.
Absolutely.
He took the judgment and the hell and the wrath of God, the anger of God over sin.
Yes.
So that it wouldn't have to be thrust on us.
Exactly.
So that's.
And because paradise was closed, heaven was closed. Only the angels were there, and of course there were a lot of souls in limbo. But then they were delivered, and now we can go to heaven. We don't have
But
to.
the main thing is not taking the wrath of God. Can you imagine?
Yeah, exactly.
Do you know, before we close, you know what the wrath of God is?
Yes.
Separation from God forever.
It is.
Hell.
It
Yikes.
is. That is what it is.
You don't want that. Oh
No,
my
you do
goodness. No. Just you don't want that. So praise
That
God
is
that he
absolutely
sent
the
his
truth.
son to take that death penalty on our behalf.
Absolutely.
That's the gospel, and people don't like to hear about hell, but that's a reality.
It is the truth.
If
Yeah.
you die without Jesus Christ as your Savior, you're going to face the wrath and the justice of God.
You will.
You don't want that.
No, you do not.
But I'm glad that was taken care of. And Mel Gibson, to sum this up, he told the story, and I just think that he said in interviews that he was tormented because that was in him. He had to tell that story.
Mm-hmm.
And he didn't act on it for years and years and years, so he was wrestling with that. But for such a time as this, at the appointed time,
Yes.
he made that film, The Passion of the Christ. And it's the best movie in history as far as in Jesus.
Yes, exactly.
I'm watching our time. Any final things you want to say?
Well, I'm just briefly. Do you believe in the Shroud of Turin, that's the actual burial cloth of Jesus?
All right, here. I'm not a theologian.
I do, and I have books on.
I'm leery. We can maybe say that for another time. I'm leery because you got to remember that was 2,000 years ago too.
Yeah, but the photographic imprint would have been.
I realize it, and I'm not going to shatter anyone's belief or anything. I'm just kind of leaning toward I don't know, but.
I think
for
the Passion,
people it works,
for the Passion of the Christ, I think was sort of based on the Shroud of Turin, especially as the scourging. Some of the other because they, remember the scourging had the cat o' nine tails.
Yeah.
That was the thorns and everything, and that's what so it was. That's fascinating. Yep.
Well, maybe we'll talk about it on a future show.
Good idea. When we have more time.
Yeah, because we're out of time now. Let me make some acknowledgments. I am Asaph Adonai. This is Asaph Cafe, and it was fun talking about the Passion of the Christ.
Yes, it was.
And maybe if people haven't seen that movie, they can.
Yeah.
It's the best Jesus movie in history.
Yeah, it maybe isn't exactly for little kids. I don't think.
Well, no, I don't. You don't want your 5-year-old.
No, no.
That, but it does tell the story.
It does.
Isaiah 53.
It does.
He
It
was
does.
bruised and so on.
Mm-hmm.
So on my immediate left, affectionately our aging rocker Emmett, and thanks for doing both of these shows.
Certainly.
It was so fun,
It
and
was.
all the things we talked about just right on.
Yep.
So it was fun, and I'll make you a copy of this show.
Thanks.
Then I'm gonna get to work on that Wake Up Missoula. So until our next show, ladies and gentlemen, Maranatha. Freeze on that chord, as you know.
Yep.
Well, make yourself at home, and we'll shut everything down. We'll go make you a copy and
Wonderful.
hang out and talk and have fun.
Wonderful.